I was supposed to do it. I was supposed to do prayer every day, but I haven't been doing that. But I have some thoughts I was thinking about last night. That first of all, a lot of times when I'm thinking deep about a subject for a while, every service I go, church I go to for a couple weeks, they'll give the sermon on the same subject. So if if uh, you hear such a sermon, particularly Pastor Dave probably will give one. Well, he probably won't because he's doing a different subject, but maybe he will. Um, but I like to get perspective. This is something I would I want to get people's perspective on because it's some things that maybe I haven't thought of before this particular way. But the Bible in Matthew 18 says, it's where the moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against you, go and tell it thy fault between him and thee alone. If he shall hear thee, thou shalt have gained a brother. Now, this is not some minor thing, and some like it's not some minor disagreement. None of that. So it's something major that really hurt. Is it his fault? Maybe not. Maybe not. But it's not. It's. I should look that word up because I think it would be more like discuss. Discuss it with him. And sometimes, oh, I should have started out because it's. I forgot what my title was. A child, and they're They'll say, "I'm never going to talk to you again. I you're mean. I'm not going to talk to you again ever again. You're not my friend anymore." Why can't we do that? Well, not exactly the same way, but sometimes I worked with a guy, and I would go visit him, help him. Sometimes he'd get upset at me, and he'd get really upset, and and he'd yell and basically kick me off the property. I went and visited him every Thursday night, pretty much for several years, and it was like, what's in a bite? It's like as I'm walking out, as he kicked me out. Not really. I would say, "So we still on for Thursday?" Yep. Anyway, but sometimes you got to get in the fight and get it over with. But sometimes, and it's important to get off. I think a lot. mm, So I don't think it's. of- This is something that we're trying to express to our brother. If you hear the not really, it's not here, it's more active hearing, it's a more of understanding. And I'm really struggling with trying to figure this out. So that's why. And um, more of an understanding. So he understands you. You understand each other, or just hear it. And sometimes it might be just hear. Sometimes it might be just letting the other person get mad, get upset. How this gives you you get, and when someone says, "Oh, I'm sorry," shut you up. That's not hearing. That's not hearing. In fact, sometimes an apology is better not to have. I would say. Sometimes it's giving you the chance to state your side. Not that there's something. needs to be a reaction to it, but I'm sorry, it may not be the reaction you need. And um, it says, so if you hear the um, so if you don't, it just doesn't work. It didn't work. You tried. You went in there, spoke your mind, and it didn't work. Bring them some people with you. Now these people are not to be on your side, but are as what's it called? To um be a mediator, I guess. Mediator, is that right? He's be what between the two sides to listen, to this gives you a chance to let yourself be heard. Sometimes we need to even be out of control, and sometimes we can't express ourselves. It's hard to express. I could, any two people listening could have a disagreement, and I could, and they're not able to when it might neither may be able to get themselves to understand, but listening, um, listening to them and um and and helping them to express each other, they may be able to do. Well, if I may be able to help either any two of you to come to an agreement. But if I had a disagreement between any of you, I may not be able, even if it's the same problem, I might not be able to because I don't because well, there's probably several reasons, but because I don't. Sorry, but anyway, um, so we should be able to, they can stop, they can listen, and they can ask questions, and they can be able to get to the other side. I want to go back to where it says, you have gained. So you're basically the conflict is going to like going to make it so you don't have a brother, and it's not really necessarily putting blame on the other side. Both sides need to act or not. Sometimes both sides just need to hear each other. Sometimes all you need to do is get the other person to understand that you're mad. That's okay. Now, if you've done this, got people that that you're both friends with to sit there and help get together. And it may take more. It may take more. This is not supposed to be, by that letter. But sometimes you may say, this person or that person might be able to help me get this resolved. Now, if he still won't listen, it's not that he doesn't fix it, but he won't listen. He refuses to um he refuses to even, I mean, it could be your fault. You could be the one at fault. And you brought it up because you're upset at what happened. Maybe you're not don't realize you're at fault, but not necessarily. I don't think it has to be talking about it's your fault. But if he doesn't listen to that, bring it before the church. Now the church gotta have somebody in it. If it's rational, if there's any be able to be rational at all, there's got to be someone in the church that could bring both sides together and bring peace, and so that the the conflict is resolved. And it may not take more than one time, but it's not necessarily totally resolved, but it's being resolved. So if it's being resolved, it might take more than one meeting to get it, especially nowadays. I don't come to that. Um, So if he doesn't listen, and if you don't listen to the church, if nobody in the church is able to bring the two sides together, and this is presuming, I think, that they're not biased. They're not taking one side and saying this is you're wrong and you're right, but being resolved issue, making peace. Then there's a hope. So there's got to be somebody in the church that can help. And um, actually, I remember something like this happening once. And they first brought it to the church. I was rejected. Nobody was able to stand up and say and bring peace. But nobody tried. Anyway, I'm going to go to feed now. What was that? Might be here. It is. I'd like to read it if I can remember where it is. Ephesians 4. Yeah, that's it. It's opening it. Well, I'll just start because it's not opening up very fast. Um, let's not just be angry. Oh, here it is. Um, Wherefore, putting us lying away lying, speak every man the truth to his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Now, I get this morning when I was reading it, I got something deeper. We were so shallow. Hi, how are you? Good, how are you? It's culture. That's how we greet each other. That's the greeting. That doesn't mean how are you. It's the first how are you, because later on we may ask a different one that really means how are you. Now, we people are encouraged or have been encouraged sometimes to suppress it, to lie, to say I am make themselves lie because they don't want to offend or they don't want they're not supposed to be um, conflict or whatever. I don't know, but they don't tell the truth to them and say, you know what, this bothers, that bothers me. Well, that's not even the same thing as we were talking. Always the same thing because it could be something, you know. Um, you're tall and then you sit right in front of me every week. I mean, that's not going to escalate, but it's, but we're not even the small things, the the big things. We're not. It's not sometimes acceptable. It's perceived as acceptable to talk about it, and um, and, and people that are struggling, they're struggling. They need. They may be struggling. They may have a hard time doing this, and they need more help. You we need to be open to each other. We're one body, so this is when one body struggles, the body struggles. So we can't, verse it says, if you take your gift before the altar and you find there's a problem with your brother, go and take care of that. And a lot of people, I'm very sensitive. A lot of disabled people are very sensitive. And so if you come in to church and you have a problem, maybe I'll even say maybe your grandpa is went to the hospital last night. Your cat ran away, whatever. Something's bothering. Go in, go to somebody and have them pray with you, or tell the church. It wouldn't hurt to tell the church if there's an opportunity, because if if we hide that, if we try to take care of everything ourselves, if we deal with it ourselves and hold it in, we're then people are going to be, you're going to, it's like, it would be like stepping on a thorn and the foot doesn't even know that there's a thorn there. So it says, so we don't know what's in the person's heart. So when we don't tell the truth, tell the person we're struggling, whether it's with you or with another problem. I haven't slept all week, or my grandpa went to the hospital, and we're trying to take care of it ourselves because it's my job to take care of my own issue. We're hurting the body. And I'm not sure if these thoughts all go together, but we'll try. He says, then it says, be angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Now, it doesn't say you're not, it doesn't say don't be angry. It doesn't say don't be angry. It says be angry. It's not, and don't let sin. It doesn't even say don't have wrath. The example, off topic a little bit. Um, Fear is, I think, is the emotion that's most, if you can call it that, it's the most condemned. Condemned? Is that the right word? In the Bible. Um, I think. Anyway, but if you're going through Home Depot and a lawnmower falls down upon it, starts to fall above your head, you the fear comes. It it sets off the alarm. The hormones go into place, and you start. Now, um, then you should calm down. So if you keep it in, some people want to keep it in. Sometimes people want to keep it in themselves, or are taught to keep it in themselves. It's kind of, some people. It's almost, or if you bear, and some people, so it's like burying it. If you bury a seed, what's going to happen? It's going to grow. It doesn't disappear. Your anger with that other person doesn't disappear. When you lie to them and tell them that everything's fine, it's not going to disappear. What's worse is sweeping it under the rug, because what happens when the rug gets wet? It's a perfect environment for growing seed. A little bit of soil. The, the fabric holds the moisture in, so it's able to germinate. And this doesn't cause root rot because it's just contained. So sometimes we need fight like I feel like, and I feel like it causes, when people got in fights a long time ago, there were duels and stuff. No, I don't think it was right to kill people like that. But I wonder, this morning I was wondering, maybe if we have made it worse, we've gone for the others. What's wrong to fight? Now, I've think that it is, the Bible said, I want to stop. I want to pause here because I want to talk about children. I should be doing this in my little lesson, but I'm not. I don't think it is right for children to be in this room with an adult. Of course, they do it with each other, and the adults should be there. I would hope that when it happens, most of the time, the adult's there to intercede if needed be, to catch it so it doesn't become a continued problem, to help the child to to resolve the conflict. If it doesn't resolve, and sometimes it doesn't get resolved, and that's how bullies. But the Bible says, "Don't provoke your children to wrath. Don't make them mad." It doesn't say the children should get mad. It says that don't make the children get mad. Don't make the children mad. And this goes on. Something I wrote up in my blogs a while back. The effect, because God made children cute, and God did something in the minds of people who react to children. When you go too far and a child gets hurt, people say, "Oh," or when they do something cute, "Oh." That's the effect, and that should stop. People that harm children, there's something wrong with their mind. Great. And some Christians are taught to harm children by the church, and that's wrong. It's always wrong. And if it gets to the point where someone or an adult would go to that, a child should never be told to leave, never be told they're abandoned, never. Go to the point where you're having to get mad at the child. Probably that should be the place where you invite your witnesses or the church, because someone needs to be there to help resolve it as quickly as possible so there's no pain in deep. Because when the pain's deep, it when the injury is deep in a child, it can cause a scar quickly. That's what we want to prevent. Now back to adults. If you stuff this thing, I've been to that point where I've stuffed everything. Everything gets shoved inside. So much of it, nothing. Now when I get it out, everything tries to come out at once. Everything tries to come out at once, and it all gets jammed. And I can't focus on, okay, what was even you that I'm having a problem with? What was somebody else? But when we take care of the issues as they come up, we say, you know what, I'm really mad at this person. It's not working. I've gone and talked to him. I can't express myself, or he cannot understand me, either one. And when people aren't willing to listen, or when if they do listen, they just say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. They don't want to listen and understand. And no one will with me. Even when I ask people, they don't come with me. It's really hard to resolve in my heart. All this stuff gets jammed up from who knows when, and nothing's been taken care of. Nothing's been taken care of. And I'm not blaming anybody. But that's what happens with a lot of people. Nothing gets taken care of, so it all gets jammed up. And then they have to be put on medication, which makes it worse. Because it's putting another rug on top of the rug. And that gets wet. Gets wet. It feeds Germany. You have to go higher and higher medication. More rugs. Well, the tree's getting stronger, people. The tree's getting stronger. It's going to be a big, huge tree. And you're not going to resolve this issue. You can resolve it, but it takes somebody to listen. And sometimes, but it doesn't resolve it with that other person. There's this barrier when people, and someone else helps you resolve it. There's just still this barrier, but maybe it would help. Sometimes it helps them maybe get things sorted out. Then that person can, it would help to go to that person, be able to be more rational. You can go to that person. But we're taught to lie. We're taught to lie and say everything's okay. We're told that you need to lie. We're told that you need to just pretend that you're happy, pretend that everything's okay. Don't talk about how that person bothered you because it might offend them if you tell them they bothered you. That's the problem. I'm offended. It's not wrong that I'm offended. That's the problem. I'm hurt. That hurts inside. And people, sometimes you need to let people cry. Sometimes you need to let people get mad. Sometimes they just need to cry. Sometimes that's all they need, which is a different subject. But I'll do that. I'll have to do a different subject for you because it's going to be too long. But I think, and I think in the past, that I have not been a good mediator. I have not been able to tell because I've been mediocre at least to either side or both. Stop. Let's go back. Stop. Let's fix this. Stop. Let's discuss this more. Stop. You're not listening. Sometimes both sides will not listen. And it doesn't get resolved if you're not going to listen. It doesn't get resolved if you're not going to listen to others. And that's part of the purpose. You will stop them, to be able to rephrase them, to be able to say, well, let's just think this over and talk in a week. Let's absorb it, digest what we've done. Let's see what the Bible says. See if we can find verses this week. Let's see what the Bible says. And I'm going to go back and see if anybody listened. Because I think, Lord, just help us to be able to have the tools. Help us to be able to get in that fight somehow. To be able to get together. Help people not to be keeping us apart. Not being able to hold us apart. Not to keep holding us apart, which is another thing people that do and stuff. We hold people apart. You can't go and talk to them. You bother people. You see as bother, but as a nice thing. But we don't let this being real. So before when we're that angry, we have wrath. We're able to go to that person in the heat of our anger and 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 maybe and be able to destroy the lie. Destroy the lies. Not destroy each other, but destroy the lie. Help us be able to do that. In Jesus' name. And I think that there is quite a big chance that in the next coming weeks I will be hearing this lesson will be taught. So if you are in class or in church and you hear the sermon even or a lesson on this, even if I am there, I would appreciate you to send send it to me in a message so that I can listen again. And I've thought about sending it to people, but I don't know about that. Anyway, but there's a lot of the anyway. I don't. It's don't think of pastor. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, God bless you, and think about what I said. And message, put it in the comments and tell me what you think. So I can, maybe if I go back, and sometimes things don't show up and I don't know what the difference is. Anyway, um, I'll go back and see if someone did comment later, or you can message me or email me or come and talk to me sometime and see what you think. Okay, God bless you.